Howdy, everybody.
Hey, all right, we are live,
Hey.
guys. How's it
All right,
going?
we're live.
All right,
We
welcome
hope
to
we're
the-
live anyway.
Yeah, welcome to the second broadcast of what I guess we're calling Breakdown. It was literally an idea I came up with half an hour before we did the first one of these, because you need a name to do anything on YouTube. Like, they won't let you if you don't. So here's my bad marketing in practice, you know? My name's Zach. I make records. Press the red button that says record on it real good. I get to hang out with my friends, and we make cool noises together. Today we're hanging out with Louden Swain, and we're talking about this acoustic record that we made. What's it been, 2 years now?
Yeah.
Wow. That long.
It was 2 years ago in June, right? In June, July that we recorded it.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
So I guess we should probably start from ground zero. So who kind of had the first thought that an acoustic album should be the next thing that you crack into?
Well, Borja used to play a version of Rock Song in the green room just on the piano.
Okay.
And so we started talking about that'd be a cool thing to record. And then I think we always talked about doing an acoustic record at some point. I mean, I think that was always in the cards, but I don't remember when or where we actually decided to do it.
Well, I think during our meet and greets and stuff, the momentum started to pick up when the fans started to get really excited about that. So we would do those. We would do the vendor jams, like these little acoustic jams in front of our merch table at our shows, and at the conventions. And so that was, I think that definitely had a huge impact on that as well.
Yeah. I think there was a day when I went over to Billy's place and we were just messing around with miking his acoustic guitar and stuff, and just kind of off the cuff just mentioned maybe what you guys need to do next is an angle album or a genre album. Instead of trying to write a whole bunch of brand new songs, which, takes time and energy, and it takes a lot of coordinating and getting you guys in the room together, find a new way to resurrect your songs, find more life inside of them. And I think that the way that you guys came into the studio, with that attitude, it worked out beautifully. I'm really, really happy with how this record turned out.
Yeah, it was super fun.
Yeah.
I think we really made a point too that we just didn't want to take our music that was electric and just use acoustic instruments.
Just play with guitars that are a different shape. Same music though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Put a lot of effort into recreating and revisiting all those songs.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch of ways you can execute a song, and I feel like with this album we were able to kind of play with some songs that are were just set in a certain way, and kind of take them and just flip them over and say let's totally reinvent this sucker,
Yeah.
And that was one of my favorite moments, and my favorite parts of that process was doing that and just kind of figuring out how to screw with them as much as possible.
Yeah, and I think my favorite part was after we had gone through maybe the first or second passes of the recordings, we just started talking about, wow, it'd be really cool if we put some strings here, or it'd be really cool if we added a horn player here. And that for me was the fun part.
Yeah.
Bringing in all those other elements into the music.
Yeah.
All right, well, I think we should probably just start cracking into some of these tracks, talking about what we did on a few of these songs. So I've got the session for All I Need open right now. I think we sent all the arrangements for getting all the strings over to Michael Parnell. Michael Parnell wrote all the arrangements on this one, yeah?
That's right.
I think I brought in a couple weird ideas for maybe the strings should do something that's kind of like what the guitar is doing, and I just recorded really rough, scratchy versions of it, sent it over to him, and he made them incredible. And I think a couple of those scratches are still inside the music somewhere.
They sounded great.
Yeah. Let me see. So I think this is a fake string section that's got too many effects on it.
There's never too many effects, Zach.
Yeah. I love that.
All of a sudden, we're doing a Thomas Dolby record.
Yeah.
That's a fun part of the process too. Is a lot of the times the music really captures the emotion behind the lyrics, and with All I Need, it was really that. It was intended to be kind of a dance around a relationship, you know, and it's like that da 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 da. When that part was written, it really fit the vibe, and a lot of times, like whether it be a melody or something like that, like a story will immediately develop, you know.
Yeah.
And then Rob went and wrote those lyrics, and it was just it was a very organic process, you know, not to overuse the word organic, but it really was something that came very quickly. And something I'm still very proud of, that original process to this day, you know.
Yeah.
So to be able to do that and take that song that we all love so much, because it was something that we're all four of us in one room writing together, to be able to take it and really kind of give it its due in a different way was really something special.
And in many ways, that sing-songy, that flowing melody is really the hook of the song.
Yeah.
What really drives that song.
It was
great to hear. It was great to take that instrumentation that was electrified and then hear it through the strings.
And a funny story is that in the rehearsal, it was like I was actually bending over and my guitar hit that note, and it just became like, okay, well, let's do something along those lines. So then that melody was written at that point, just basically on accident, you know.
That's
it was
awesome.
like nuts. Yeah, it was nothing deliberate. It was just like I'm like bending over to pick up something or play with my pedals, and something hits that, you know, flat, you know, note, and then suddenly we're like, oh, we're off to the races, you know.
Yeah. I do love that, like, the beginning of the song really sets up the narrative and pulls you right into it. So I'm just going to play a little bit of Rob vocal.
So I'm talking along with the frosty-haired girl at the bar.
I think even with just that much, going from completely dry for the very beginning to just adding the effects for the next one, it kind of sets up the narrative. It opens up the song and lets you know that, oh, we're going there now. Let's open up some of these guitars a little bit too. The simplicity of that part is really pretty too. Yeah, this weird piano I'm pretty fond of. Ain't that pretty?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is really cool how that song like opened up, you know, just like sonically opened up from the original version. It's like the original version was, you know, was such a full electric guitar thing, and it's like, you know, the acoustics and the strings and everything combined, sort of, it's just cool, the different textures that it ends up with, you know, compared to the other one. Not that I don't, you know, like the other one, I love the other one for what it was. But it was just cool to go back and redo it and then come up with this thing that was so sonically different from what the other one was. But yet still the same song, you know?
Yeah, the original one was really like, we're like, well, how can we do this so that we could pull it off as a 4-piece rock band live?
Yeah, like
and
playing
so
it live,
Yeah, so we weren't thinking along the lines of, let's expand upon this now and figure out
Right.
how to... We could always hire 3 keyboard players and the string section. You know, we weren't at that place at that time when we were writing it, so it was something that kind of, we were writing it for the sake of being able to play it because we loved it, you know? And and this really let us just be like, okay, if we don't ever play it live, let's get something really cool. Record it, you know?
Norton, I kind of wanted to talk with you a little bit about like your approach with drums on this one. I feel like Louden Swain is such a like high energy amps and drums driven band that I feel like you probably had the biggest bridge to cross, because if you did what you do every single day very well, it wouldn't be right for the record. So I mean, what was like your process with like coming around to, these are the sounds I want to have, this kind of like texture, this woodiness?
Yeah, well, it was interesting because the guys out at LP, Jerry out at LP, I had just visited him, I don't know, maybe a few days or a month or so before before we started recording, and I was telling him, I was like, hey, we're doing this acoustic record, and I was like, I'd love to see what you got, and they had just come out with these two new cajon snares, and so I was like, oh, that's cool, that's a really cool different thing, and so between that, and I'm trying to remember, I think on that song, I think that is a cajon snare.
I think yes.
If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure on All I Need, it's probably the 12-inch LP cajon snare, and then for the rest of it, it was basically like trying to mute everything down, and I wanted the songs to really be the focus. So it's like, which I think is generally my approach to all that stuff anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think so. I know we played around with like towels on all the drums. I think we had towels on both the tom and the floor tom, and then the kick drum. I think we pretty well. I don't remember exactly how you mic'd it. If it was more of like an inside or an outside mix, or what you ended up taking on that. But it's like, I know we just basically like everything was very low key and kind of that sort of muted sound, and I love what we got out of it.
Yeah, and I remember Zach, you were very instrumental in that process too. It's like where you took more of a role in really helping us achieve that sound. I know that was a big deal too, because we were coming into this as a 4-piece rock band.
Yeah.
Going to play something very gentle and delicate and soft, so it's and kudos to Norton for being able to like really dial that in and get that right. And I'm so proud of that. I'm so proud of those drums.
And it sounded great, and it was so consistent throughout the whole album.
Yeah.
Which I loved. So it really set the tone for the whole album.
I think
all that time on the tones for the snare. I even think we experimented too with the cymbals as well. Didn't you put a set of keys or something on the cymbals? I remember you doing something with the cymbals too as well.
I know we mess around with a bunch of different stuff. There was definitely some just experimentation, which quite frankly, like, we've never had the time or budget to do on other records, and it's like, so we just haven't done it as much, and it was such a cool process to sit down and go like, okay, like, let's really think about what the sounds are going to be, as opposed to just going in and setting up my kit and then and going from there.
Yeah. Let's open up a little bit more of this string arrangement, because there's so many cool things going on in here. I think one of my favorite parts is the bridge. Because it kind of takes the strings to a totally different spot. And for a while, we were even experimenting with taking the drums out there completely and having it just be like a little Baroque breakdown.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I know we had a big discussion as to which one went where.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of back and forth when we were figuring this out. Yeah, I think most of the production is pretty tight, pretty real instruments, so I'm also going to check out all the moments where it's not and what's going on in there. What's the lead guitar doing out here? Oh, this is the top line with the strings. Let's listen to that.
That was my favorite part. That was my favorite part. Because there was a boom, at the end of that run. That was just like, it shook you.
Mm-hmm. And I think we had a marching drum in here too, it's like.
Yeah, we did. We did some snare stuff. We did a bunch of snare passes with it. I think we might have multi-tracked it a couple of times too, right?
I think this guy looks like it's just the one. But
was it just the one?
I picked the two weirdest microphones to leave in there, so it's all buzzy harmonics, more noise than drum, which is kind of cool. Yeah, very textural, very Wilco. And backing vocals,
I'm taking it easy, 'cause I've got a promise to keep. It's dependent on me, dependent on me, dependent on me. You know you are the dependent on me.
Cool. Little production tip for the kid sitting at home. Distortion can be a weird way of making things clearer. So
I got a promise to keep.
when you solo that, it kind of sounds a little CB radio, but
Yeah.
as soon as you put it in the entire mix, it just pops out. It's quiet, but it's present. You can tell that it's there and you know what he's saying. I think that's kind of all I wanted to look at in this song. Why don't we listen down to the entire thing and see if anything pops out?
So I'm talking along with the frosty haired girl at the bar. She says she's from Mexico, and I respond, wow, that's far. Somewhere there in between, vodka, few breath in my ear. I lose hold of gravity, keeping my legs put right here. But oh, margarita, I'm taking it easy, 'cause I got a promise to keep. It's dependent on me, senorita, she's all I need. Discussion ranges from the movies to how drunk you got. Better keep talking for fear that there isn't a lot to say. But oh, margarita, I'm taking it easy, 'cause I got a promise to keep. It's dependent on me, senorita, she's all I need. Inevitably, I get home and I crawl into bed. I whisper I love you, you won't quite hear what I've said. But oh, margarita, I'm taking it easy, 'cause I got a promise to keep. It's dependent on me, dependent on me. And now I believe. Now I can see. Now I believe, senorita, she's all I need.
Noise.
Nice.
Yeah. And that was fun when we were
Love that.
watching that go down.
Funny because while we were listening, I was looking back at some old emails and found some of the mix notes that were going back and forth between all of us, and stuff like Norton had, "This mix would be my preference. I like the post second chorus string arrangement in this one. I prefer the
Yeah.
ending strings on this one as well." So it's interesting now to look back at these notes
Yeah.
and see all the back and forth that we had in the production of the song.
I can't imagine
Yeah, there
this
was-
song any other way, but originally the outro was the bridge, so it got
Was
the
removed for
bridge,
the end of
yeah.
the song. Is that how it was?
Yeah, we,
So
we,
wild.
we swapped them.
We
Yeah, we
swapped-
swapped them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
good
I
call.
think
Felt good.
that outro, I think it was something about the descending pattern versus the rising pattern or
Yeah.
something. Like,
Yeah, there was also something on the very original mock synths that you had from that was really, it was quite a bit different actually than
Right.
what we did in the studio, and there was something that I missed from that original demoed string section, that we found later on, by doing some shuffling,
That was one of my favorite things to go to the studio and see Michael in there with the quartet and doing his magic and then seeing all of that live.
Oh, he's a wizard.
That to me was one of the best part of the process of the recording.
Yeah, his players are the dream team. He works faster than anybody else. He's well worth the time and money. He's amazing. Love that guy. Oh, we're going to pivot over to another song, and we are now entering the part of the video where I edit something out because I forgot to do something important. I don't have a window for the chat open. If anyone's saying anything, I have no idea what it is. So
I've actually got I've got the chat window open.
Okay, with that intermission into place, let's switch over to California Nation. Start talking about this one. So I have a confession to make. I'm a huge fan of the band. Have been since the first time I heard you, but the first time I heard you was during a Stage It show. So that was my very first exposure to everything. I haven't gone back and listened to a ton of the back catalog. It just hasn't been the world that I've lived in. I've spent some time with it, but not a lot. So, confession time. My first time hearing the original California Nation was today.
Really?
It's a little different than this one, huh?
Yep. Just a tad, yeah.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of my job on these sessions was just elevating everything that you guys are delivering inside the room. Mm-hmm. And this was my first impression ideas for what I should try and push forward. What was your guys' process with changing Cali Nation from what it was to what it is?
Let me first start by saying I love the fact that you've only listened to the original version now, because it means that you came into that recording without any biases.
Yeah, with fresh ears. Yeah.
It was great.
That was part of the idea, yeah. We traded reference mixes and stuff back and forth. We knew the same records we wanted to make it sound like. I just didn't know what it sounded like before.
But this one, I don't know. It was there was something about it where it's always been a favorite of ours to do live, and fans really dig it. And we just wanted to kind of figure out a way to make it fun and lighten it up a bit. And then we let you go to town and do some stuff, creating some of those little melodies there, the higher register stuff. That was really fun.
I also remember we did a TED Talk. We performed at a TED Talk with Rob. Mm-hmm. And I remember we had done. I remember after originally recording Cali Nation, feeling like maybe it was just a touch too fast. When we did that TED Talk, we played it acoustically, and I remember coming out of that going oh, that felt really good the way that we did that.
Right.
And it was just us with a cajon and an acoustic instruments, and we changed the feel. It went from being so straight to being more of a super loose, a looser, more laid back groove to it on the acoustic version or on the original.
That made it feel like more of a California feel. Basically.
Totally, it felt vibier. Yeah.
Yes.
I really did have a chance to kind of go off the leash and play around a whole bunch on this one. I don't know how much of the things I did I've shown to you guys, because past a certain point in the sessions, you guys just sort of left everything with me to finish up, trade notes. We kind of killed the rest of the album over email. So I think on this one, I really wanted to embrace the West Coast hip hop kind of thing that's laying under the entire thing.
Yeah.
So I emphasized that way too much. The kick was really pretty and organic.
Are you kidding me? I love that part.
That sounds so nice, good rock kick. Then I just made it way too short, so it's kind of hip-hoppy now, and it's got a totally different bump to it.
Right.
In the break, that's an 808 kick. That's a Dr. Dre kick.
There you go.
Yeah.
Snare drums, before they were this, that's the sound of that LP thing, yeah?
Yep.
Yeah?
Yep.
And I put these on top of it. So I am live sample replacing these guys with just a clicky little tom rim sound on one side, kind of panned half left, and on the other side, a bad hip-hop snare and a wood block blended together. So you're really hearing 3 different snare sounds. They're all kind of spread across the whole spectrum. So that's why it's so weird and wide sounding. No overheads.
And here I thought
everything
that was all
is
me.
Small and tight. Yeah. Well, it is all you.
The secret sauce.
It's you with a little extra pepper on top, Then all the room mics. This might be kind of hard for you guys to hear, but maybe it'll come across better in the stream.
Yeah.
The room mics are pitched down, so they sound really fake. In kind of a beautiful way. They just kind of wash out in the background. They make the chorus feel really big, but they don't change the tone of the little tiny snappy drums.
Yeah.
I'm really happy with those. I think there was about 30 seconds when we were in the studio working on this song and kind of went back and forth saying, wait, is this boring?
Right.
My first instinct was to try and do something to make the verse a little bit darker so it cleared out room for the vocal. So I think I started doing this in the studio, like while we were still messing with the song. I took the acoustics.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's just a filter freak that's like cutting off all the high frequencies. And then it opens them all back up again.
Yeah, like a envelope filter.
Yeah. And then we're right back to normal. I took that that pattern, like the amount of cutoff that it has, how much it moves, where it bumps back up and stuff, and copy pasted that on top of a couple percussion things. Tambourines, shakers, the bass. So more of the track feels like it's moving in a weird way.
Right,
And they're all moving in the same direction. And that lead line, which is so pretty on the original, it's just all space in this.
Yeah.
But there is an acoustic guitar under there, I promise.
But what was cool about that line too is it's slightly different than the original.
Yeah.
You know, because the original didn't work as well with this new arrangement. You know, so we found something that kind of fit, which is I love doing that.
And for the chorus, I added a few things to lift it all up. I got the old 60s Mellotron flutes, the Strawberry Fields flutes.
Yep.
Yeah, I love this. I love that tone.
Cool. And I don't know how well this scans when people are listening to it on Spotify, but second verse, my favorite thing in the world.
Totally.
It's nothing but a G thing.
Oh,
That's
that's
right.
great.
Yeah. Oh, and the big dramatic strings in the bridge. Also Mellotrons. These are like King Crimson Mellotrons, though.
Yeah, you gotta love Mellotron, man.
Yep.
Is that you playing those, Zach,
is.
or is that Mike playing those?
No, that's all Zach.
Yeah, that's me
Okay.
playing those ones.
Yeah.
Well, big air quotes around playing. I played that really, really badly, and then I fixed it because this is the one thing I'm really good at. I can cut that MIDI to death. I'm in a synth pop band. It's all I spend my time on.
What I love about this, about all those samples and all that stuff that you put together, Zach, is that when we've gone out to play this version live, I've got all those in my Roland drum pad, and it's like I hit it, and it's like all that stuff just goes, and it's like it adds such a cool layer to
That's
that
great.
song, especially when we're playing it live. Like I know we did it in. I know we did it when we played up in Seattle last year, and it's like it just adds a cool feel to it, you know?
That's one of the other cool things that we could do now is since you have that Roland trigger machine, you could take these elements that Zach has created and pull them off live. You know, like the strings we do for Rock Song and all that stuff is all there now. You know, so we can actually perform it. You know?
Yeah.
Well,
Super
we
fun.
can trigger it.
Yeah, they're yours to do whatever you want with.
Yeah.
It's super, super fun.
Yeah, I think the first time I heard you guys play Rock Song was probably at the Echo.
Oh.
I didn't realize that like how much of the backing tracks you guys would like lean on for that one. Like I thought that was really, really cool. I thought the string arrangements were super surprising. Only time that happened in the whole set. Very, very cool. I love seeing that live. It's just a whole different thing.
That song is so naked, you know. So if you were just to do piano and vocals, it would work really well. But it's just to have those peaks and valleys in there, you know, by adding those strings is just really makes that song live.
Yeah. And let's see, backing vocal stuff. I think these are all Borja, yeah?
I think Norton's in there too as well. Sounds like a calliope.
Yeah. I love the way those transition into the next section, too. I probably copied that idea of doing the Strawberry Fields flutes off of that, because I heard that and I'm like, wow, that's so cool. I need to like cram that somewhere else. If only I could come up with my own ideas.
What probably came from Mike or somebody that was listening to Strawberry Fields 2 days earlier.
Exactly.
Totally,
You know?
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Everyone borrows.
Yeah,
Which is
great
very
artist
like-
steal. And the ending whistles, I think they just turn so hilarious that we got to listen to them by the end.
That was hard to do, man.
Yeah,
It was hard to do.
It was.
Yeah. It's even harder to do live.
Whistles are tricky to record because you can't be blowing out into the microphone because
Yeah.
you're really distorting the...
Yeah. And all
Just a
like
bunch
you
of
guys
wind.
giggling at the end of it and stuff, that all happened in real
Yeah.
time. We didn't have to cut those in. And I think the video that we put on Instagram of you guys doing it, which I might have in my stories saved somewhere there. If not, I'll go back and like put it in later. That's the take. That's what's in there, including the sound of me walking into the studio, like holding my camera up, being like, hey, this would be cute if we put this on the internet.
One of my favorites of that too is this, I think it's the third verse where Rob's kind of just free flowing with that.
Oh, right, yeah.
Oh, yeah. The rap.
Down with this verse.
Yeah.
That was his verse, yeah.
He
Dude,
just
that
did
was
that
fun.
like off the top.
That was something totally we just did right then and there, right? It was
Yeah.
just-
Yeah, I think like he did that and we stopped right away and went like, well, that's the take.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was just reading it, right? And then
Yeah.
we're like, wait a minute, hold on. Let's read it.
Maybe I should just read it.
I'm down with this verse.
Yeah.
You're living in the chorus, but it still needs
The books
work.
on tape
It's-
version.
It's paper
Totally.
thin.
Yeah.
The message isn't clever if it's hidden within. Read between the lines, hug it till it cries. Sing it well, that's how we get by.
You can almost hear a little bit of laughter in his voice as he's ramping up. You
Yeah.
know, you're like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny because
He's
like
excited
like,
about
yeah,
it.
that was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds
And
so William Shatner. Is that their verse?
It does, yeah. So opening up the lead vocal a little bit. During the verses, I think that Rob's just sitting there. No effects, pretty dry, really close to the microphone, sounds really intimate. And then for the chorus is when we kind of went big with it. So I have one layer of his vocal doing this.
California nation is bringing me around. One big invitation to get off the ground.
Just a little bit of like slap back delay to make him sound a little bigger and also a bit more vintage. I might have done something weird with the double vocal with him. By the way, Rob is maybe the most weirdly good vocal doubler like that I've ever worked with. Because like he comes up with so many
it's all that
interesting
voiceover
ideas.
work.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I think like actors are kind of built for it a little bit more than musicians because when you're in the moment performing, sometimes you can lose something on the next take. But like it's an actor's job to be consistent so an editor doesn't get mad at you like 2 months later when everything gets cut. So
California nation is
what
bringing
is
me
on
around.
this? That's wide. I like that.
It's a little Lennon.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
very Lennon, yeah. So it's crushed. It's absolutely distorted. I put another layer of distortion on it on top of that. And then I took out like the harshest frequencies, like the ones that just kind of jump out when you're listening to it really loud. And then this is like an old 80s like vocal doubler. Like this is the kind of stuff that they would use on like Phil Collins records and stuff to make them really wide.
Chorusy.
Yeah.
Nation is bringing me around.
Yeah, that micro shift. So that's why the vocal sounds so completely different in the chorus. I think it really lifts up that whole part.
Yeah, I love. You know what else? You know what else that I think, if I'm not mistaken, that I think you did in the mix that I love listening to it is I'm pretty sure that you cut all the cymbals out of it in that early part, and then the hi-hat actually doesn't come in until like the bridge or actually on the chorus maybe.
Yeah, you're right. It looks like he threw the hi-hat mic away.
Yeah.
It's buried in here somewhere. There it is. I think I probably just heard it and decided like it takes away from the aesthetic.
Yeah, and it
sounds
doesn't
too
need
real.
it. It really doesn't need it at all. Yeah.
Yeah, the whole track is just so like light and tight.
Yeah, I love the lift that gives it though when it gets in, because then when it gets into the California, it's like all of a sudden it's like you're taking the top off of it.
Yeah, completely. All right, I think that's the whole thing. I think let's listen down to this track.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's a mystery, dressing like a target, splitting the seams. It's Sisyphean, with my dreams in a car from the grocery. It sucks me like a thrill, takes me like a pill, climbing up this hill. California nation is bringing me around, one big invitation to get off the ground. I'm a looky-loo, I made it like an art form, I can see you, you're wearing blue. I read you like a book that I can't get through. Hide behind a lie, squeeze it till it's dry, singing cause that's how we get by. California nation is bringing me around, one big invitation to get off the ground. California nation is bringing me around, one big invitation to get off the ground. Life is profound, be who you wanna be. It's no big mystery that we're a bunch of freaks who hold up empty hands. Don't want no sympathy, that's our philosophy. Oh, 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 oh. I'm down with this verse. You're living in the chorus, but it still needs work. It's paper thin. The message isn't clever if it's hidden within. Read between the lines, hug it till it cries. Sing it well, that's how we get by. California nation is bringing me around, one big invitation to get off the ground. California nation is bringing me around, 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 around. California nation, California nation, California nation, California nation, bringing me around.
Yeah, and we also shortened the ending too.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Which causes problems sometimes live.
Yeah. Well, that's the two songs that I've got like ready to go. I think like let's take a couple minutes, go back over the chat, make up for the time I spent not being a good host, answering any lingering questions. If
I was going to
anybody's got
say,
any new
somebody
questions,
on
now's
here
the time.
asked which song took the most work to change from electric to acoustic. My first thought was Silver Spoon.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Right.
because we changed that arrangement around so much.
Yeah.
I remember Billy, you and I sitting in the control or in the tracking room when Mike and Rob weren't there and going like, "What the hell are we going to do on this?" You know, like
At one
it's like
point, I suggested, and I don't know if I want to say it because people are going to want it, but remember, I'm like, Zach, you know
The
any
problem
good
with being accountable.
rap artists? Like, do you know any good rap artists? So we wanted to do a little rap or like that middle section. I thought it would have been
Right.
so badass. Would have been so
Right.
badass.
Yeah.
We were actually looking into it. We're like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I think that was
This
like
guy's
the
pretty good.
most
We-
controversial call.
We spent about an hour.
But yeah, we spent the time. We did the groundwork. We tried to find some other
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, it was good. I think it would have been good.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was still a cool idea.
Big one was also probably another song that we put a lot of effort into changing that one around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Although the final version of that is pretty straightforward, but it's like but I think just changing that feel up, that one to me is the one that's the most different between the electric and acoustic versions.
Oh, yeah. We're like switching time signatures, aren't we?
In Big One?
There are a couple moments.
Yeah, so in some sections there were some time signature changes. Yeah.
That's a pretty involved arrangement. Like that was a lot of work.
Yeah.
It sounded great.
Yeah. And then Rock Song, I think we spent the most time going back and forth on. Like, I don't think that was the hardest to change into acoustic, but that's the arrangement that changed the most number of times.
Yeah.
I think we probably had 4 different versions at some point.
One of my fondest memories was with when we were doing I think it was just Mike and I in the studio when we were doing the piano for that, right? And I think, Mike, you were up like an octave higher. And I'm like, just drop it one whole octave, and it was really low. And I remember, that's scary.
It just paired so well with what Rob was singing.
It made it a bit more like film score.
Yeah, exactly.
Like national,
and it gave the song a place to go.
Yeah,
and it really delineated what was the verse and what was the chorus.
Yeah, I remember we really, really picked apart the specific feel of that intro, trying to get that to the place where we wanted it to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I remember going back and forth on that one a lot.
Yeah. Well, that was because we had originally did a first take of that, went through the recording of the song,
the higher octave,
and then I went back and did
something wasn't
the second take. It just wasn't. It wasn't sounding.
It just didn't feel right. Yeah, it didn't feel right originally. Yeah, and we went back and had you redo it. Yeah.
Can we do this for every album? I would love to do this for every album ever made. I still have the sessions for at least one other record, like, available on hard drives in here.
Yeah.
I could see this happening again.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
Yeah.
Great, super fun. Yeah. Yeah, we could go back and look at Sky Live, or look at No Time Like the Present.
No Time Like the Present.
Yeah. Yeah, I do have the No Time Like the Present sessions for sure.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. Yeah, that'd be a fun one to do.
Do his vocals.
Let's do it.
Or any of the songs recorded with somebody else's singing lead? No, I think everything was Rob. I think one of the last days of us recording, we just kind of locked out 2 solid days when he was in between shoots, and just decided everything is going to get done today. And we put the work in and did 2 very, very long days, and they included a whole lot.
Yeah, he busted his ass getting that stuff done.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, because I think we did most of the main tracking in 4 days, because I think I came out and spent 3 or 4 nights out there, and then I think we did most of the tracking in, like, maybe at least the drum stuff in, like, 2 sessions, maybe.
Yeah, the drums were definitely done all up front.
Yeah.
And then I think we just sprinkled out all the rest of the instruments as schedules opened up, Yeah.
Yeah.
Did a lot of acoustic at home. I did a lot of stuff at home.
I remember doing some overdubs here at the house.
Yeah.
I overdubbed some snare stuff from Big One, and or maybe Trigger Finger. I can't remember which one.
Yeah.
A couple percussion things and brushes and stuff like that you did over at your place.
Yeah.
When was the record recorded? Was everyone in the same room? The record was recorded 2
July
years and a bit ago.
2018?
June of 2018.
June of 2018?
Yeah.
Was everyone in the same room? More or less. Not everyone was mic'd in the same room. Like, if you have acoustic guitars and drums all next to each other, you get weird conflicts where you start hearing the drums inside the acoustic guitars, and if you ever have to like change a part, it just turns into a bit of a bloodbath. So if they're not perfect straight out the gate, you gotta just get a whole bunch of takes, and that's how they made records in the 60s, and it was a bit more, well, not more work, but a different kind of work. It was a bit more committed. You had to be locked into your ideas.
Oh yeah, I remember the musical isolation room.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say, Billy, you were in the ISO room. Mike and I were in the same room together for a lot of it.
Yeah, and then Rob was in the control room doing the scratch stuff.
Yeah, doing the scratch vocals. Yep.
It was just, I think we would have tried to have done it all together and see what we got, but I think the space wasn't allowing us to go that way, so we had to kind of work with the.
And schedule too, right?
Yeah.
Like I think because there was a lot of time. I think we probably did at least 2 or 3 drum tracks where it was just maybe you and me, Billy.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mike joined us, and then Rob came in and did stuff. I don't remember all of it being all of us together. I remember we basically had schedules where we could get in and get stuff done, and we did a lot of it.
Yeah.
But for most of it, we were all involved.
Yeah.
It was just that not everybody was always there for every little bit.
Yeah, I think we all got a cold at one point or another during those first run of tracking days.
Yeah.
That was pretty brutal.
Back when it wasn't so scary to get a cold.
Yeah, for sure.
Jesus Christ, seriously.
Yeah, my
in
wife is
the
an
olden
epidemiologist, and during the week that we were recording everything, she got her PhD, so I had to dip out early one day to go to the graduation ceremony.
I remember that.
I had a cold, and it was my first time meeting her parents. It wasn't a disaster. But I mean, I bought them a nice bottle of wine, as a welcome to town. It's great meeting you and stuff. We opened it at the restaurant. I couldn't taste it at all.
Oh, awful.
Zach, was it this?
Yeah.
Was it Splitting the Seams where I came in one day and I was on fire? I remember. I said to Jason, Jason, or maybe it's Jason was there. So I said to Jason, feel my head, because I think I was my temperature was just skyrocketing. I'm I didn't want to miss it, but I'm I think I gotta go home.
Yeah, I think for one of the tracking days on Recovering, you had to bail out really, really early, and just did not look right. You were super pale, crazy fever. I was impressed you made it at all and got 2 songs out, but
it's crazy. It's I think I'm gonna go. Rest up.
Well, guys, this has been an absolute joy. You're incredible. I can't wait to see you guys again in person. Hugs all around as soon as we're able to.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, same here.
Miss you guys.
We miss you guys.
Yeah, miss you too. Miss everybody.
Yeah.
All right, let's get this next record in the works.
For sure.
All right, man. Thanks, Zach, for
right.
hosting this.
All right.
Yeah, thanks for putting all this together, Zach.
For sure.
Does everybody have
it was
handle?
absolute joy. Would love to do another. And I'll catch up with you guys soon.
Right on, brother.
Hey, Zach, what's your handle where everybody can find this?
Yeah.
I'm on YouTube as just Zackary Darling. I'll share a link to the edited version of this video in a little while. The live stream will still be online, and you can use the old link to get into it, but I'm going to delist the video because the real one, which will be trimmed down with all the fat cut out and stuff, will be online in a couple days.
And then
cool.
also, Zach, that video of the whistles for your Instagram. What's your Instagram handle?
Am I Zackary Knows on here? I think I am.
I think you are, yeah.
ZACKARYKNOWS. I'll type it in the chat too. I think I'm the same on Twitter. I'll throw everything out there.
Right on, brother. Thanks for doing this.
Cool.
For sure.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Zach.
guys.
All right, peace
Awesome.
out.
Lots of love, guys.
All right.
Talk to you soon.
Be
Be
well.
well.
Stay
You
safe.
too, man.
Take care.
See ya.
See you guys.